Something like that.
Ding.
Ding. It is January 8th, 2017. Oh my God, it's the new year. Welcome to Comes Out Loud Bear Podcast with Disturbingly. We are on YouTube, so that's why everything seems kind of weird and there's no sound effects or anything besides whatever you audio listeners have heard so far. I don't know. I'm Jeff, and with me, of course, is Gary. Somewhere?
Right there.
No, say hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
And David.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
And with us for this very special episode, okay, it's not that special, but still, this very special episode is Hadrian.
Hello, everyone.
We heard him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to shout about.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of, did you see the Tumblr feedback reply about Hadrian doing the story reading?
Yes.
I did not.
So someone sent Hadrian a Tumblr, like, ask me anything type thing, or a message, I'm not sure which. And so Hadrian replied and was like, hey, here's a little story about how this went. I agreed to do it. They sent me this stuff on this day. Then I got sick. Then I had to try to get over being sick. Then I got a new mic. And then I was up until 2 a.m. because I was flying out at 7 a.m. I was like, oh my God, all this drama to get this project done. So
yeah, it was an adventure.
We are super excited that we got it done. And I haven't heard anything from Ron Sarisha over at Bare Bones Books. I did forget to send him the link right away, but I did send it. And so I don't know. But as much as I know of, it's all been pretty good. And I did go back and listen to the show. I did, just so people are aware, if you listen to it and you heard that there were some sound effect type things, I put those in after Hadrian had sent us the audio just because I didn't want to burden him with that by putting extra stuff in. So in the psychometry of snow, there's like a wind, like kind of whooshing sound. And part of that was because if you listen to the story, it flips timeline. And when you just read it, I think it takes you a moment to figure out what's happening, that you're going backwards in time and then jumping back to the present.
That's much better than me going.
So there was that, and then in the second story, which is Don't Feed the Bear, I think is what it's called. In that one, I decided to go back to our childhood, and so there are little chimes. Like, if you remember, I think it was it Golden Books?
Oh.
If you had the little turntable or whatever.
Oh, God.
At the sound of the tone, turn the page.
Yes, I remember that so much.
So usually when you were changing, not chapters, but scenes or whatever, that's when that kind of popped in there. But no, so I thought it was fun. So thank you again, Hadrian, on behalf of the podcast. We appreciate you doing it, and we'll see where stuff goes. If you're game for it again, we can look for some different stories. But
hey,
I'd love to.
There's another really fun holiday coming up called Valentine's Day, where it would be kind of fun to do something like lovey-dovey, kinky, sexy kind of thing. I'm sure we could find something. I don't know, maybe.
Does it have to be kinky, sexy? Could it just be sexy? Like, why does everything have to be kinky?
The difference is kinky is where little cherubic winged Cupid comes down and shoots 2 hot bears on a construction site and they go have sex somewhere. That's sexy. Kinky is when Cupid gets involved.
There you go. There you go.
so
Nice.
bears and cubs now have visions of Hadrian as Cupid, wishing they could get poked by his arrow, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You can cut the diapers out.
Well, we do
Well, it
have
doesn't
some
need to be a
people who've
diaper.
been on this show, which is into that.
Well, it doesn't have to be a diaper. I mean, Cupid in classic Greek mythology was naked, so.
Oh.
There
And
you
if-
go.
Okay, it'd be like you guys watch Supernatural?
No.
They actually have a love god type like Cupid on the show, and he's this chubby fat guy who goes around and makes people fall in love essentially.
Aw.
And he's super adorable, and that's his thing. And he makes two straight guys at a bar go for each other. I think. You look at the scene; it's really, really good.
So Supernatural.
You know, there is the CW app. So
Yeah. No, I'm just looking for images. I don't need to see the show.
To Tumblr we go. Do-do-do-do. Click, 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 click.
No.
Well, if-
I'll tumble for you.
If we
That's
want a
fair.
little modesty, we could put a fundoshi on Hadrian as Cupid,
Yes.
and then it's not a diaper; it's actually kind of a sexy looking undergarment. So
And I know how to put those on.
right, exactly. See,
There was an
David
entire
knows.
series of videos of people putting in fun doshis on there.
You're not getting the point, Jeff. I will put it on Hadrian. I will be.
I don't like where this is going anymore.
Oh, come on. You know we have man crushes on you.
Oh,
Putting diapers on me and stuff.
Fundoshi.
Maybe we can save something for off camera. I mean, I may not do ever.
Just never mind.
Still haven't started that COL Xtube account.
Well,
Anyway,
we might cross platforms, XTube, Pornhub. We'll see.
wow.
Maybe we'll work with Hadrian and get a new online adult, film empire running.
And that's why you might just move into porn production and make money off of it. Oh wait, there's no money to be made in porn. Never mind.
Oh.
Which means everybody does it because they like to get off.
Yep.
So.
All right,
as
well,
we
let's
veered
kick into
way
our-
off topic.
Let's kick into regular show mode, shall we? Because we don't have sound effects. Hey, Jeff, what's going on? in your
Well,
world?
Okay, so we're actually doing this one. So I think Netflix has been secretly putting stuff into its archive that causes me to not play WoW.
What? Wait, huh?
There was like a couple of anime things that they have, which are Netflix originals. Which basically, because it's Japanese, they got subtitles. I can't be playing WoW and trying to watch a subtitle thing at the same time. It's a little difficult. So I have to stop and sit on the couch, semi-snuggle with Sonnet, because everybody knows that Sonnet's not snuggling. It's a lot of S's. So I've been watching those. Oh, and I also got all 24 of my tunes to 110.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
So I did accomplish something. Now I need to do something, other things to build things up. So. But otherwise, work.
What about you, Damon?
So, everything has been pretty low key for the most part. We've been dealing with some other drama. The leather-ish bar here in town had to unexpectedly and quite quickly close. The building was shut down that it was in. So it's a long story that I'm not going to draw out right now. So the owner of the bar was able to work with another bar here in town, a long-serving bar called The Dock, and we were able to host our leather night there. It was became a bigger collaborative effort with a lot of the leather groups and title holders and whatnot in the city. But it was, the main purpose of it was a union suit contest, and since the temperatures in Cincinnati on that day were in the teens, it was very appropriate. So we had a lot of guys in union suits and onesies and what have you, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good, decent crowd. I think it was successful despite the sudden location change, but you know. Good times, I think. Go.
Question just for I know you don't want to get all into it, the reason the other bar closed, but was it a politically driven thing, or was it just,
building, like inspection building?
Building. Okay.
Yeah. The building in and of itself was not up to par. So
I guess common lube doesn't make good construction quality.
No.
Usually doesn't. No.
It can get sticky, but it's not sticky enough for.
Exactly.
Well, it holds the wood.
That's what we always said about Eagle in Atlanta, that lube was the only thing holding the place together, and cum. And if somebody spilled poppers, it had a threat to dissolve too much of the infrastructure to cause a collapse.
That's a good way to put it, and that's kind of
seems legit.
No. There's a funny story. Now go ahead and divert, because why not? So the actual leather bar in the city was Serpent. And it closed because the owners didn't give a fuck about it anymore. And they ended up selling it to another owner, and it became a bar. Well, there's a picture of the guys, because they had to renovate and they were cleaning things out and they were doing all this stuff. And there was a picture of one of the bathroom plumbing things, and you could see a very clear layer of some very interesting liquids and fluids that had been just had built up over the years. And it was very hilarious, and it got passed through private channels and everything, but it was very, very funny that it was like, oh well, people made jokes about what it is and what it was, and so yeah, that was definitely a building that was the bar was being held together by the cum and lube and probably other things of the people involved there. Anywho, Gary.
Oh, wonderful. That's a hell of a segue. All right.
Yeah.
So, well, I was just going to say, actually, if anybody's ever had to interact with a surface that has bodily fluids dried onto it, that stuff kind of becomes indestructible. Not quite to the level of super glue, but although I've never thought about poppers as like the anti kind of coagulant. So I don't know. That's a Bill Nye Science Guy kind of experiment, I think, that needs to happen. But anyway.
So it actually probably have to be done by Bear Nye, the science guy, or Science Bear.
Ah, nice.
Bear Nye, the science bear, Bill Bear Nye. Anyways.
Nice.
So,
all right.
tiny little story. I had a boss, an actual VP, who I later on found was gay. He was this big, beefy Bostonian guy, and he was awesome, and he was sexy, and I wanted him so bad. But he said to me, "Hey, my laptop's broken. Can you fix it?" And he gave me this laptop, and I opened it up, and I'm like, "Oh my fuck!" And I shut it away because it was at work, because the whole fucking computer was covered in cum. The laptop that he hit the screen back, do the thing on the screen at these guys' faces and that sort of stuff, and the thing was disgusting. Like, it was down in the keys, it was in the little finger touchpad thing.
Poor Bailey.
It was over it. And I had to, this was like back in May years ago.
Adrien, you need to shut the door, like, completely.
Oh my God, he does, doesn't he?
Or change your camera so Adrien can walk through.
It's not glossy. It's still slightly ajar.
Okay, I think we're good right now. It just was
okay. So anyway, I had to clean this keyboard. Like, I had to take Q-tips and alcohol wipes and everything to get all this gunk out of it so I could get it working and back to him. But I did it because he was fucking hot, and cleaning this man's, years old jizz layers on this old laptop was somewhat satisfying.
So was the laptop not working because of the keyboard, or was it not working because there was actual?
Well, it was two reasons. One, it was running Windows 95, and this was like 2003.
Oh, okay.
And it needed to be upgraded and cleaned, and that sort of stuff, and it needed a new hard drive, and the keys were not functioning correctly because they would go. He like stick his finger to it and peel him back up, and that kind of stuff.
Oh.
So I did a full service because the guy was fucking hot. And then I was like, "You're nasty, your mama nasty, and you don't love Jesus. Don't jerk off on your damn laptop."
Public service announcement.
He told me, he's like, "Well, I like to bring the screen back," and he like did the. I'm like, "Can we close your door at the office before you make this gesture?"
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to hear the story completely. Just, it's probably a better idea if we close the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to hear the story.
Close the door. Demonstrate for me, will you?
There you go. See, now you get it.
Yeah, see, I would have as tech been like, I don't really understand how this laptop came to be in this condition. Can you show me what you've been doing? Like how this,
Yes,
this
exactly.
came about?
Step by step.
So turn on the porn.
Unfortunately, of course, it was all skinny, muscle guy, live guy porn, of course. So I was like, really? So he wasn't really in me. And I did get him drunk enough to at least offer once, but we never made it happen, sadly. So my powers of persuasion just weren't working on him.
Not this time.
Yeah.
All that charisma.
It's
His
all
fucking
good.
loss.
That's what I say. So
He did lots of personal pictures on there, so I at least got to fulfill a little bit of my fantasy by some of it.
Oh,
Oh,
that's good.
plus sides to everything, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry for the derail, but I had to tell that one.
That's all good.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So it's a new year. It's the
Mhm.
same shit, different day. I don't feel that anything different has changed in 2017 compared to 2016. So
Celebrities aren't dropping like flies
True.
well,
so
yeah,
far.
there is a fair
There's still
point on that. I did post on Facebook. Some math geek decided to really seriously apply mathematical science to determine whether or not celebrities, air quotes on celebrities in the definition, have died more frequently in 2016 or not. And actually, he proved using, I think, 3 different methods that yes, the answer was yes every single time,
Wow.
which was not very exciting, but yeah.
Hey.
it was interesting, and at least it was proved.
Yeah.
We were right.
Yes. So,
Oh, by the way, addendum to last week's episode. Within the 12 hours after we recorded our addendum of the episode,
jeez.
we need to throw in an addendum because within that time, Father Mulcahy died.
Yeah.
So it's like a last minute fuck you from 2016 saying, here, now let's kill this guy who played a priest on MASH.
Yeah, so to catch Hadrian up, episode 397, the prior episode, was called The Year That Gave No Fucks.
Okay,
And-
that makes sense.
And so we talked about 2016, but the one big portion of it was talking about all the celebrity deaths, entertainers, and well-known individuals as well. And we had recorded it early so we could take time off for the holidays. And then we found that more people died. So we turned around, and on New Year's Eve day segment, with us all spread across in remote locations, kind of on vacation. And what Jeff is saying is, even after that addendum, I think his name was William Christopher, was the actor who played Father Mulcahy on MASH 4077 television series. He passed away, I think, at the age of 84, I think. So
The show was just called MASH. It was
Well-
the story of the 4077th, I think.
correct.
But it was just called MASH.
So, needless to say, so we have an accurate point of perspective, Adrien, for you to say that the celebrity deaths seem to have not continued on into the new year quite to the same statistical ratio. Yeah. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I feel like everything's kind of the same. I kind of don't care. Other than I have a head cold, like I did right before around Christmas, so I'm really kind of pissy about that because it's not going away. So,
Oh.
but that's kind of it. Hadrian, what about you? What's going on in your world?
A lot of travel. We went to Florida for Christmas, and then we stayed home for New Year's, and then I had a cold just before Christmas, where I did the recording of the 2 stories, and then I got a cold again just this last week. So I got back into the office for one day after a few weeks of vacation, and immediately had to stay home from work so I could get over yet another cold. Then I just got over that in the last few days, and then tomorrow I travel to Virginia for work. I'll be there for a week, and then hopefully that'll be as eventful as the next weeks get. I've finally gotten over my state of shock since the election, so I think I'm able to get more involved. I'm starting to memorize names again and who, and pay attention to some of the bullshit that's really coming out now. And on the 20th, I'm going to protest in LA, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm trying to engage again after the new year.
Cool.
So you're on the side of my duty as a citizen is to take action to make my voice known because the political process is questionable.
Yeah, you got to stay engaged. I know a lot of people are there was this idea that Hillary Clinton was the promised land, that once when she was elected, it was over, and now people burned themselves out trying to make that happen, and I'm included. And then it didn't happen, so now we have this other idiot. We can either check out and say, you know what, I'm tired. I've spent the last 8 years fighting, and I'm over it. Or you can say, no, the fight's not over with. We need to stay engaged. It's easy to get worn out and be tired of constant stream of political stuff on your Facebook, but it does not need to stop just because you're tired. I'm trying to get back into again to stay engaged, keep memorizing the names of the people that keep popping up that I've never heard of before, that are that are being brought in as cabinet members, and keep the case going.
I think that's fair.
Cool.
Okay, so we're gonna skip feedback for the show. We'll do it in the next one. Kind of keep the case. So the weekly topic. Hey kids, it's a let's talk about sex show. Yeah.
Let's talk about sex.
So of course we have to have the uber sexy Hadrian on because
why not?
Why wouldn't we?
Exactly.
This topic is about a renaming of an older topic, quote unquote, about a study that came out. And I just realized before we were going to go to air that we probably should have asked Francisco Salgado, to join us as our resident study kind of person.
Yeah.
The COL scientist?
Yeah. To discuss this this thing that came out that basically there are 2 articles. We'll have the links in there. They're kind of lengthy. They came out probably about 3 weeks ago, I want to say now, maybe 4, not quite a month. Basically, the concept is when you read them, because I'm going to distill it all down real simple. Rural men who label themselves as heterosexual, may be married, may have kids, are having sex with other men that identify themselves exactly the same way. And this is now being termed bud sex. As in, like, I'm having sex with my bud. Kind of like my bro, I guess.
It's the evolution from bro jobs.
Yes.
Yeah, like I thought that was interesting because I think that's what these articles are trying to do. They're trying to make this connection and say, we have this thing called bro jobs, only now we're going to call it bud sex. And I'm like, for me, I think they're 2 different things. But that's why I wanted to have this discussion.
Yeah, there's definitely a spectrum of sexuality here, and I think bro jobs falls more closer to bisexuality than sex was more about personal identity, a little more ingrained than buds, and then bro jobs was more about sexual availability and already being identified as bisexual, maybe, or close to it. Maybe a 2 or 3 on the scale.
What do you think, Damon? What were you gonna say?
What I was gonna say, the thing I was thinking is that this was bro jobs or what have you was more urban and what it's more. I don't want to say common, but I would say it's more like a city or kind of thing. And whereas the idea of this bud sex or dude sex or whatever they've called it is meant for more like, because the way that the study did was it was more rural. It was like rural areas of like New York and some other states. So I'm thinking that's sort of the difference in regards to this, that it was specific, and it was also specifically white men, is what the study said. So,
yeah, like, so here's the thing. Like, my question was, is this new information? I will say, for me personally, I am not shocked by this revelation of the study that there are men in rural areas that are hooking up with other men in rural areas. That part of it, I was like, well, they're men. Men are sexual. Yeah. Men will do what men do to get off. But then there was like some further like detail about the fact, interestingly, in the study, that the questions were asked of the subjects in the interview about like specificity of the when and the how, and like how they refer to it. And I thought that was very interesting, because there was notably this concept of they do not see themselves as gay. They actually really don't like the term gay. They kind of avoid that, and they consider themselves heterosexuals. They just happen to be swapping blowjobs with guys that also see themselves in the same, so to speak. So I was like, I guess that's not really new. It's just new information, maybe, for the greater public, as opposed to those of us that are men that have sex with men.
And it's something that those of us that cruise have been keenly aware of, but never had the data to back it up. I mean, I've always been aware that if I look straighter, if certain things that I wear, and I used to wear a ring, it was kind of a fashion ring kind of thing, and I wear it on the other hand, I've worn my wedding hand, and they'd be more attracted to me in ways. And the more plain I dress, if I didn't wear, my Robert Graham fancy gay shirts and my cam shirts, as people want to call them, and my hair a few times, if it wasn't a bright red mohawk, it was more, more close, and had a beard on and that kind of stuff, that it was easier to get the sweeter fruit, so to speak, in the cruising community than one of the real wedding ring on. And it was easier to get them. And those kinds of guys seem to get together more. The idea of butching it up, so to speak, that's been in the community for decades. Passing as a straight person gets you access to more sex, and that's because of the cruising community. We were always aware that likenesses seem to get together. I mean, I've had moments where I've been in a bathhouse and I've been playing around with a bear, and I had this one guy where this little Twinkie queen who had been chasing this other bear I got with came in there and says, fucking bears always get together, and like got out. And in a way, he's right. I mean, likenesses seem to get together in some communities where they want a self-identity to validate themselves, and that's what the studies seem to verify.
Yeah, that's one thing I kind of really definitely got from it, is that it was like, you're a guy, I'm a guy, we're straight masculine like dudes, and every once in a while we just bend over and suck each other off, but that's it. Like, that's all it is. There's nothing more to it than that. And I know that when back in the day when I used to cruise, I remember that, like, the guys that would not do anything at all, but would, if you approach them, they would only let you do things to them, as opposed to, they would never really touch you. They would never really, do anything to you. But the minute they were done, meaning they got off, it was over. And, they would walk away, or they would leave, or they would be on their own. And I remember that specifically. And the guys that used to be that way were the ones that you would think of would be the more like the married guys, the typical like straight guys. They were very nondescript, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Damon, on that point that in my cruising time in the past, when I was more of a baby gay, so to speak, or before I discovered the bear community, a lot of the local guys that would hang out at cruising points that were identifiably straight, had a wedding ring, possibly a family, they were just looking to get off, and that's all it was. I mean, there was nothing else to it. There was no establishing friends or trading information. It was just literally getting off and going. And as soon as the got off was done, they were gone. It really was a come and go, so to speak.
Something in that realm is that if a guy can identify you as a non-like, so I'm married, I'm straight, and I'm here to get off. If they identify you as someone who is not them, you are not married, you are not quote unquote straight, you're not married with kids and all, and have this identity to hide. If they can somehow, stereotypically identify you at all as gay, not reciprocal. You become as a recipient of their come, and that they want to get off with you. You are here to service me because I'm the hyper-masculine heterosexual straight man, and I'm not gay, and I don't do that kind of stuff. However, get together, and this sounds, this is a hyper-masculine, very tribal thing that humans have. If two of them did get together and they happen to cruise each other, if they're open to it, if one of them identifies the other one as more masculine, as straighter than me, as butcher, as something, something I aspire to. So like if, imagine your run-of-the-mill trailer park guy runs into their country kind of thing.
Yeah.
If they run into each other, the lesser of the social status will service the other one.
Interesting.
And I discovered that when I would go out to I'd cruise around Atlanta, was that if I went somewhere and I really masculine up and I put on my Southern accent and I really spoke in a deep voice and if I acted a little bit butcher, I could get the reciprocation of service. Even if the guy was like, I just want to, I don't suck. I'm like, well, then I'm not sucking you. They would suddenly be very interested in servicing. And it could be reciprocal where we both do stuff. Or I could just get off. So it's a domination thing among, can I aspire to be you, or can I just see you as lesser than me? Kind of like a pecking order in a dog pack.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so I agree with David that it's interesting. What I think about that is that's what this study is basically saying, is that this new terminology that Silva, the author of the study, said was bud sex is the concept of guys that see themselves as equals. Like that, right. like I was interested in the fact that like one of the quotes from one of the studies was in reference to the interviewee said something about, like we might go get coffee or go have a beer, hang out, watch, a game or something, and then end up having sex, and then like that's the end of it. So like so to them, they're kind of like, this is just, it's just a buddy of mine, we're just hanging out. We just also happen to, extract DNA from each other. So and so I kind of, I don't know, I found that interesting. And I'll be honest, a part of me has kind of always been intrigued by that, because I heard that was happening around me when I was growing up. Like that's how young men who labeled later as gay, that's how they were finding out they were gay or determining that, because they were having these type of like interactions, these type of hookups. And I was always like, but how the fuck is that happening? Like, that's not happening around me. Like, and maybe like using what Hadrian's saying, maybe it was way obvious that I was gay and I just didn't recognize that. And so they were like, oh no, like, you're doing a little lispy for my taste. So
it comes from all kinds of areas. It comes from the way you dress, your hairstyle, even you being shorter and chubbier. Even if you were totally straight and had fucked pussy for days and had 20 kids out there somewhere, they would see you're shorter, you're chubbier, I'm taller and more masculine and beefier, therefore you are the lesser than me. There's all kinds of ways that straight guys will justify something to put you in a lower social stature than them when it comes to cruising and that sort of thing. Or put you higher up on a pedestal. You could have walked in there and had a little dip inside your lip, and they would have been all about you all of a sudden because you are more masculine than because you were engaging in this one hyper masculine activity that they saw in a commercial with a Marlboro Man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I didn't want to do, which I ended up doing, was I read comments, and I normally don't like doing it, but it was very just interesting where they were trying to relate this to like this is called down low. I'm like, no, this is different. This is very different. I think down low is like you don't talk about it. You don't do anything about it. It's just you actively go out somewhere else. Like they mentioned it, like these guys don't go to the city to go like look for, guys and, or go like a bathhouse or go cruising. These guys literally find other guys like them. Either they mentioned Craigslist and they connect. This is, to me, different than a down low kind of thing in that you're not, it's not an act like I don't feel like it's an like almost always active, like you're always kind of looking for sex kind of thing. I think this is just like hey, here I am, I'm doing this and let's do it. If not, they don't need it per se. Like on occasion maybe they want it, but they don't always need it.
Down low is an act of cruising.
Yeah.
Not wanting to cruise, but still wanting some form of companionship.
Yeah,
because a lot of some of the comments were a little bit hostile, and one of the things one of the things communities don't like when they're underground is a name, because once you have identity, then that leads to organization, or you can call you something, or now somebody has a name for it. That's something that these kind of communities don't want. And down low is the same way. Whenever it started coming up in the early 2000s and before, even when it came in the common lexicon. People didn't like that because, oh no, I'm not that. I'm this other thing, even though I'm doing the exact same thing, because they don't want to be called or associated with that. They don't want people who aren't in the side of the community to know the word for what they are, like their wives and their girlfriends or their work they have. They don't want people to know what they could be. Yep. Where when it was an unknown thing, oh, he's a really good buddy.
Yep.
Down low, they're like, oh, well, maybe he's down low. Now they have a word to go further with it instead of saying they're really close and they spend a lot of alone time together, and I have caught him naked.
Well, I mean,
look, you have one word that encompasses all the stereotypes that go with it.
Yeah, I mean, look at the adult film industry. I mean, I see it all the time on adult sites. Like I'll own it. Like over on Adam for Adam, there's that whole strip of ads over there, and there's notoriously one storyline that keeps appearing over and over again, which is about straight guys, like, hooking up with each other. And then like the latest has been about like the wife or the mother, sister, I don't know, live-in housemaid, I don't know what the story is. There's always a woman who's always like, oh, like, she's shocked to find them in the middle of like a three-way or something. And I'm like, really? But I'm like, but obviously that's the form of sex that's making money, because they wouldn't make that scene if that porn didn't get like sold or like downloaded or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I call that earning your toaster porn. And it's where the gay guy seduces the almost gay guy or the bisexually curious guy or something like that. And that's been a common theme in porn all the way back to Oscar Wilde. There was things about this. There was you got a guy who's slightly curious. Oh, I've turned him. I've made him more gay than he was before. He's engaged in things he's never engaged in before, because there's the idea of it hits the thing that most males have. I got that first kind of thing. And you were such a prize and such an amazing homosexual that this person couldn't help but cross over for you, or you were straight enough acting that you could get this person to be less straight for you.
Wow.
And I hate those porns so much. They're so tacky. And I worked for I've worked for Corbin Fisher, and I know that every model we brought in there, most of them, there was this very small percentage it was, but most of them were the twinkiest, gay guys that have been out forever, gold star gay, delivered by cesarean section, never touched a vagina in their whole life, homosexuals. And here they were, and we're like, okay, your name is Greg, and you're you're 18 or something like that. You got a girlfriend back home. You've never done anything with a guy before. And we feed him these lines of bullshit and do these interviews that are totally put on, and all of them mostly are. There are a few guys where they do get there that genuinely have never been with a guy before and just want to do anything for money. This bud sex spectrum too, sometimes a little bit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those guys have this mental block that says, as long as I'm doing it for money, I'm not really gay or bisexual even.
Well, and that's part of what this. The study basically says, which is, the guys don't see themselves as gay. They don't even necessarily see themselves as men who have sex with men.
Yeah.
I agree with the former. I don't agree with the latter, obviously, because, words have meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the beginning one, I've always ascertained for years, I've ascertained that there's the verb and noun of your sexuality. And by all nouns, I am gay. I go to gay bars. I engage in the community. I go to Pride. I have political leanings that are very gay. I am part of the LGBT community. I identify along those lines. That's the noun I put upon myself. And the verb of who I am is I'm bisexual. I have sex with men and women. I have, throughout the tradition of my entire life, I don't do it. I don't keep schedules. Says, I got to sleep with a woman this month, or I'm going to lose my title, anything like that. But over the course of my life, I am bisexual, and even in a microcosm of the different ages of my life, I'm more bisexual. And the kind of porn I watch is more diverse. And these guys fall into the same spectrum. Their noun is definitely not gay. They do not. They have no political leanings. They don't go to gay bars. They don't engage in Pride, or they don't even care. But if they have an election for should same-sex couples be able to get married? No, I don't believe in that. I'm religious. That kind of stuff, because that identity overrides everything. So their noun is not gay. They are straight. And as much as I love my bisexual brethren, your community is too small to even register as a blip. You typically, unfortunately, because of the polarization of our society, bisexual culture gets pulled in one direction or the other.
Yep.
But as a verb, at the very least, even if they do it once in their entire life, they're bisexual for their lifetime. But even stages of their life, if they're engaging in bud sex with someone they know closely, that still makes them bisexual, even if the other person is in the same boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I kind of got from this, and it's one of my personal beliefs, is that sexuality and whatnot are fluid. And there's like, I love Kinsey, but I know there are other scales out there. Like, you don't always lean, you're not always just one thing. You can find other things attractive, and you can find other things sexual, and you can enjoy those things, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not all of you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the big thing for me. And I think these guys, these dude sex or bud sex people, don't really get that. They may not understand that. They may just go, well, I'm just doing it right now, and that's all it is in this moment. And after that, I'm done.
And a lot of times, and a lot of these guys I've known guys that were like this, that every time they had sex with another guy, this is the last time. I won't do this again. This is the last time. I'm just doing this one more time. After 30, I'm not going to after 30, or I'm going to stop after next month. So they have these goals, these imaginary goals they set in front of, like a person trying to quit smoking, or go to the gym, or any of these other things that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better, that we will become better people by engaging this, but we find ourselves doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fluidity involved in it, and a lot of self-denial.
I was gonna say, well, they find themselves like repeating the behavior because they like having an orgasm. I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah, orgasms are highly addictive. Yeah, and once you get off with someone, and someone makes you get off really good, and you're able to engage in something you and your core is right about. I mean, that's the very definition of being gay and being homosexual, is that I enjoy men a whole lot more than I enjoy the women folk, or if at all. So sometimes if a guy has forced themselves because of societal pressures and everything to engage women, and then they're like, okay, well, I did it. It was good. I had a good time. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I had sex with a woman. And then one day they go to the gym and they're in the steam room, and some guy says, hey, I'll blow you. I'm like, oh, okay. And they let it happen. They're like, oh my God, that was the best cum ever. And mouths are the best. I got to go back home to the wife. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. Back to the fantasies that we all imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or some of us are lucky enough to experience, apparently. So, yeah, no, I don't know. Like for me, I don't necessarily think that this is new. And and my other kind of question was, do we think that this is catching up to actual behavior? Meaning, is science, quote unquote, learning of the reality that's been going on? And I kind of feel like the answer to that is yes. Like this shit has been going on since we started, becoming the species that we are. It was kind of like, there's procreation, and then there's like the whole hormonal, dopamine neurotransmitter shit that's going on. And it's like an orgasm floods you with lots of good feeling, or at least for like the vast majority of people it does. So that's why, getting off is so enjoyable. Therefore, getting off in any way, shape, or form kind of becomes a thing. All you have to do is like look at webcams online. People are putting everything and anything inside of their bodies, or putting them inside of things, like just so that they can have the orgasm. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I wish I knew when I was a teenager what I know now, because I feel like I spent a good chunk of my life concerned about feeling like I was the only one, and that like that like there weren't other people out there that were having all of these thoughts about getting off and experiencing that kind of stuff. And now I'm like, are you kidding me? The world is full of freaks. Like everybody's got a freakish thing about them, whether it be just, a little finger pat at the back door, or, putting inanimate objects that are used for traffic hazard stuff into themselves. So,
Oh,
all right. I'll own that was a bit of a stereotype, but anyways.
a bit.
Well, it exists online. It's part of, what is the rule? 53,
Rule 42.
64, 42, something like that.
No, 42 is the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. It's 37.
37?
37.
I think it's funny how awful I am at knowing what the hell the number is for it. If it exists, there is port of it. Anyways.
I think it's 34.
I thought it was 34.
37.
If it exists, there is part of it. No,
Yes.
it's rule34.com.
Oh, it's okay. I think it was because like Scott Johnson on the morning stream kept calling it at 37, and I was trying to correct him 34, and now for some reason I've gotten that flipped.
Headcanon.
Sigh.
Nice. Anywho.
So, the only thing I want to say about the study also, this is where Francisco comes in. If Cisco was on as our guest, talk about studies, it was only done with, I think, 19 participants.
Correct.
Which is a very small pool of people to get information from.
Well, the way they made it sound was that it was I think the purpose of it was they literally did like a Craigslist post and had people respond. And as Cisco has told us in the past, you know, you never know what you're going to get, and you just go with the data. Yeah, you get the data that you have, and you kind of use that as the tool to support our, your theory.
So how many people walked away?
Well, and that's part of the thing, is that they did it on Craigslist. So as Cisco says, like, it's a self-selective pool, meaning people chose to participate in the survey. So it's not like you approached 1,000 people on Craigslist who were posting ads. You posted an ad about the study, and they chose to participate in it. And I realize that that's kind of semantical, but there's an important distinction, I think, in that, because that means, these 19 people chose to come forward and be recognized by, whatever data or, pseudonames, that kind of stuff. And that's part of the issue for me, is I really wish it had been exponential, like 10 or 100 times bigger, because I think the numbers would still come out the same. Like, I think the results would still be the same. It's just disappointing. It's kind of like, yeah, but I could randomly find 19 people without trying. whether or not they participate in the study is not my point. It's like the number is just so small. It's kind of like, you know, I would have appreciated if there had been like maybe a more methodical, like, let's post on Craigslist in every like 5th largest city, county area in all, you know, 49 or 48 contiguous states or something. You know what I mean? And really try to get like as broad, you know, representation. But that's the way my brain works.
Further away
You
you
try to make
from
it
rural areas and more into metropolitan areas, people are more comfortable with identifying as bisexual.
Yeah.
Comfort level goes up, but if you go the more you go like into backwoods Kansas and that kind of stuff, that people there just it's not even part of the lexicon. It's not even there. It is such a dirty, disgusting word to them that they can't even use it, even though they're doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
I mean, it comes along with a lot of other polarizations, aren't you? Right? You know, there are people who certainly believe in choice, but they have to be pro-life because that's what there's one fervent person in the neighborhood who demands it, and you want to cause ripples, you want to cause waves, you don't want to cause issues for your family because you're bisexuality or because of any other political leaning. It's easier just to go along with it. You just want your quiet life and your quiet farm with, you know, your wife and your kids and everything else. And sometimes things happen outside of, you know, those borders, but you still come home.
Well, I agree with you, Hadrian. And this particular topic is what I got to figure out how in the future I'll discuss it. In the past, especially in work environments, women would complain about, you know, men being horn dogs, you know, and just wanting sex and this and that, and the, you know, the difficulty of how that, you know, affects their relationship. And I would try to give them a little advice and be like, listen, your husband, boyfriend, fiance, whichever, is basically just a walking hormonal penis. Like, that's really kind of what it comes down to. And if you struggle against that, recognizing that a man has needs to try to procreate, aka stick it in everything and spread his DNA around, you're going to not necessarily be on the same page as him. And this is like, I think, a slice of that, like, to basically, I mean, I don't want to alarm women, you know, who feel they're in, you know, well-founded relationships, but it's kind of like, I mean, we're reading these guys who participate in the study and they're kind of like, yeah, like, my wife's gone for the weekend, so I go hang out with my bud and blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of, and although it did crack me up because one of them, I kind of raised an eyebrow. He's like, well, we go shopping and we do this. And I'm like,
girl,
shopping? I was like, and a straight identified male does not necessarily say that he goes shopping, but then I was like, what the hell do I know? Like, they could be, you know, going to Tractor Farm Supply or someplace, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was horribly stereotypical, but my point is that, you know, like, I guess you could go shopping together for Carhartts or go to Cabela's or some other, you know, sports handling.
Or they could go shopping just to, like, you know, for, like, you know, pottery or whatever. I don't know. You know, it's you know.
This is more proof that Damon is definitely not one of the butch ones.
I'm not one of the butch ones now. I was trying to find something that's non like.
They're going to the hardware store. They're going to buy nuts and bolts.
I was trying to find non-stereotypical bullshit. That's what I was trying to find. I was like, nope.
Nope.
Hey, yeah. I'm shopping.
You gotta get outside of the city bubble. They're not going to the mall to walk around Macy's. If they're out in the middle of nowhere, if I was going to walk around with someone and look straight as possible in the most unsexy place ever, I would go to Walmart. We go to Walmart.
They're shopping around all the guns listed there.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think a Maynard's in the Midwest is probably way more like.
Ooh, Maynard's. I haven't heard of Maynard's in such a long time.
Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah. Although maybe we got to get wrong. Maybe they're going to the adult bookstore. You know, maybe it's the, you know, the Adam and Eve and you know, Lion's Den chain or whatever, where they're, you know, going and looking at, you know, porn and, I don't know, cock rings and things to shove up their butts or who knows what. Maybe that's technically shopping.
Let's cuddle.
Well, but that's interesting you bring that up. I want to discuss it real quick before we move on. Damon, you said about cuddling. That is one thing that seemed to really not be existent in the study, like, was the reference to committed emotional, like physical time to like spend with each
Yeah.
other, where the bear community is all about, like, I see so much now, people are like, I need a cuddle buddy and I want to spend time, and and I just want to lay on the couch and like watch a movie or play games, naked
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily about sex, although I've put it on the record, like, cuddling with me basically leads to sex. I don't know about anybody else. So
But no, like that's sort of the thing that they mentioned. Like there's the thing that they don't want from the women apparently is they don't like the whole like emotional attachments. They mention things about how they feel that gay men would be more like, reaching out to them 1,000 times a day and wanting to do everything all the time, and that's just not them. And I'm like, yeah, well, no, like I have my moments where I'm like, oh, I want to be like all huggy duggy with somebody, but there are times where I'm like, get the fuck off me. I love you, but like, hey,
It's summer. It's hot.
Well,
yeah.
they think that gay guys are going to demand that they have to engage. We're a very politically active subgroup, so we're going to say you have to accept who you are. You have to label yourself. You have to become. What was it? When I wrote, I said, you will be assimilated. Resistance is futile, kind of thing. And sometimes gay guys will be like that. Oh, you should come hang out some more, and maybe you should leave your wife, and maybe you should leave all that behind, and accept, become more like me. Where a gay guy may not, because if you have genuine feelings for someone, you want it to evolve, but a defined role where they can limit where they want the sexuality to go. Hey, we got off. We had our moment. I'll see you next week, buddy. Okay, I'll see you next week too. I'm going home to the wife, and that's it. And they know that there is a limitation to what we can accomplish here.
Mm-hmm.
An affair. It's not leading up to anything. There's no greater future to it. It is what it is, and one day we'll get too old to do this anymore, or we'll outgrow it, or we'll finally get our rocks off the last time, or you'll find someone else, or whatever happens, it happens. But it's completely optional. It's the salad to the steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's the important distinction that we're making. Like, Hadrian, you and Damon were just discussing about how people are these participants in the study, who are terming bud sex, are basically like, nope, I don't need any of that. Like, I don't need you cuddling me or cuddling me. Like, there might be a little cuddling going on, but I think that's like, that gets too icky. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. I think it's too intimate.
Before modern times, before, like pre-19, 20, 30, even probably post-World War II, men cuddled a lot more. And like us hugging each other on the couch. If you look at old pictures, you'll see guys holding arm in arm and doing tons of stuff that's far more intimate. Effeminate motions and movements and talking was more common before recorded voice could be broadcast. It wasn't a social normalization. Everything that passed from culture to culture was mostly written or by word of mouth. In a modern society where things are broadcast, America, everything that happens in Hollywood is the center of the cultural universe for so much of the planet. Before post-war, where being a man's man and, American exceptionalism and, oorah this and beefing up and acting as straight as possible and the way you talk, the way you act, and all these other things that you do to pass. And being told that if you were a real man, if you were really straight, you are into women wearing lace and really live women and bosom and butts and lingerie and all sorts of stuff. But if you think about it, you're brainwashing someone to be hypermasculine by fetishizing feminine objects, which is very, very backwards if you think about it. However, when then at the same time we demonize other things, any kind of male affection for another man is wasting the energy you should be spending on procreation of the woman. So we've created this hypermasculine men that are starved from attention from someone like themselves, and that's where the study kind of gets into, is that they're looking for validation for someone like them, want to hug and cuddle and experience affection with someone like themselves, that they can do that. And we do this with boys and children all the time until they reach a certain age. They're like, no, you're too old for that. You can't have physical contact with the male unless it is violent or in some sort of masculine camaraderie, like in sports or after a fight or a bar or something like that. We've erased this platonic affection that the society has had for million years since humans have evolved. Even chimpanzees and other animals, they do this. Cats cuddle all the time. We have this whole other form of starved for. And I think some of them may manifest itself as sexuality because only in a down low environment or in a secret sex environment or bud sex environment can we experience this and possibly, have sex at the same time. So it may have magnified itself. There's this polarization that our society has created, and they may be victims of it just as much as anyone else.
That's a very interesting point. Very good theory.
Sorry, I didn't mean to lob that ball in the room.
It's all good. I was like, ooh.
I mean, I know that for me, I grew up, mostly fatherless. I was not close to any of my stepfathers. I was close to my father until I was about 5 or 6, and then that was kind of it. And first time I got with a guy at when I played around with buddies growing up, like anyone, and I'd done other stuff, but all of that was sex. And then when I went to a bookstore pretty much for the first time, I met this guy named Oyd Rich, who passed away recently, and I'm very sad about that. He was a great man, but he gave me a hug. And as we got done playing around, and I remember this grip and this kiss we had because he had this stubble that was like shredding my lips, but I remember it, and he gave me this hug, and I'm like, because I got hugged from women in my family because I had more aunts than one uncle, and I grew up with my grandmother and my mother, so I didn't experience male affection. The first time I got that hug, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then a few weeks later, I went back to the bookstore and I hooked up with a guy, and we got to cuddle in bed, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. I had experienced cuddling women, but I was expected to be in this lead role of it. Of course, I always happened to date very small, petite women, and they were more into grab them. But I never experienced someone having me, and that's where my daddy fetish pretty much blossomed from there. But the cuddling aspect is very, very important. It's about affection that our society is completely washed out.
Wow. Sorry,
I mean, to make subject.
I think it's what's going on for me. At least I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, that totally makes sense. And a really, really weird.
That's are engaging in cuddling. They are enjoying affection. Even like on the couch next to each other, arm around each other, watching the football game. There's some other halo aspects of the relationship that may not be documented in the study that maybe they should explore.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing I will say about the study overall is that it does seem like, I know one of the things it does mention was that they never mentioned that things were quote unquote proven. They all said that they were straight and that was it. Like that, we don't need to, no one ever like questioned it or what have you. That was sort of the point, that was what it was. Like you said you were straight, that's part of the study. It mentions things like our comments were saying, how do we know? I'm like, well, if that's what they identified when they started the study, then that's what they're going to go on. If they were secretly like, really, really gay and went home to a guy and everything else, who's to say, that they were kind of participating in the study. So if it flawed the statistics, so be it, but I don't think it did. As long as these people said that they were straight, that's sort of what they went with, and unless you're really, really, really convincing, who's to say, or you're really non-convincing, then who's to say you weren't? Like, I don't think they probably, we've seen effeminate men, heterosexual men. We know that there are effeminate heterosexual men out there. So I'm not saying that that's what they went for, or that's what they saw, and they said, nope, we don't want that to be a part of the study. They just said these men are straight and went from there.
Right.
They accepted their self-label, which is respectable in order to keep the conversation moving.
Yeah.
Because once you challenge someone's sense of self, you can shut down that kind of stuff, especially when it's such a secret subject.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anything else on the topic?
I don't think so.
I just realized that we probably should have stated at the beginning of the episode that bud sex is not about 420.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, for the record, I mean, like it just occurred to me. I was like, oh, yeah.
Weed.
For all of our smoking buds out there, sorry, this is probably not quite the topic you were thinking. But we might do that in the future, maybe. I don't know.
Subject, just to bring it up, you used to see people on Craigslist who would say, maybe smoke a little weed and have sex kind of thing. They kind of loosen the inhibitions or something like that. But I've noticed a lot less of that because weed is just so damn common. I'm kind of here in California, at least, it's like everybody's fucking smoking weed. But I've noticed a lot more, which is a little more insidious and a little more dangerous. I think I've noticed a lot more Craigslist ads that are saying, blow clouds and suck. I looked it up and it's referring to meth.
Oh.
Wait,
Yeah.
They're saying what? Blow. Okay.
Yeah. I had to look it up on Urban Dictionary.
Oh, good old Urban Dictionary.
Right now. Yeah, smoking cocaine or meth.
What?
And even actually the quote is even there. Let's blow clouds and have wild sex.
What?
Yeah, that's the new term I'm seeing on Craigslist a lot more. And I thought meth was dead. I thought that died in the 2000s for some reason. But obviously it hasn't. But I'm saying it seems to be. I'm seeing a lot more of that. People are looking to harder drugs to reduce inhibitions.
Interesting.
Sorry, didn't mean to destroy anybody's perception of bud sex. But yeah, there's some of that going on. I'm noticing more of.
Well, and that's disappointing to me because whenever I saw about blowing clouds, I thought that meant that they were smoking pot. So,
yeah, right. And I hope people aren't making that mistake. That would be awkward to end up in a sexual situation. You knock on the door, they open it. Hey, my wife's not home. Come on in. And then they pop out last. Wait. Where's the weed?
Huh.
What's that rock salt stuff you're putting in the pipe?
Yeah, really. Like, dude, I was just gonna, toke, pass the little joint here. I wasn't planning on a little more hardcore than I wanted.
Expecting losing my teeth today.
Oh.
It explains the great gum job that you say you give. Anyway.
Oh.
Bravo.
Oh. Damn. Woo. And on that. Ooh.
Ooh, is it getting hot in here? Oh my. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Let's move on, shall we? Let's start wrapping up the show. So this week we're just gonna jump into links. Jeff, what's your link?
My link is actually one of the shows that I was watching, and it's Magi Adventures of Sinbad, not Sindbad. Sinbad. I can type it.
Thank you.
Magi is like really tiny in the logo on Netflix, but it is Magi the Adventure of Sinbad, which is really, really cool. The only thing is they only got like 11 episodes or something. I wanted it wasn't done, but it's one of those things where Netflix series, they got the first season, so third season to this kind of, they basically did the same thing that they did with Voltron to me, where it's like they got the season, it was kind of short, and I'm like, no, don't stop. Netflix was just being to me. Anyways.
And did you see the Voltron trailer that came out yesterday?
No, I didn't see the Voltron trailer that came out yesterday.
Voltron season 2 was announced.
Yes!
That's 2.
Oh boy.
Have you seen the first one?
Yes.
Oh,
it was very good.
So good.
And it's very transpositive.
Mm-hmm. Kind of.
Interesting.
I don't think there was identification or anything. It's just.
It's very strongly implied.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which is exactly how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That being said, my link is actually very timely, like super timely. So I hope that people who are watching the video and are going to listen to today's audio version of the cast when it goes up. For those that are unaware, there's a new Kickstarter documentary campaign that's going on that ends Monday night, January 9th. Looking at the calendar, I think it's about 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to end. For those of you that might remember, there was a documentary made about 10 years ago in 2006 called Small Town Gay Bar by Malcolm Ingram, who happens to be friends with Kevin Smith of the Clerks fame and Jay and Silent Bob. Malcolm has done a series of documentaries since then, including Continental and last year's most recent Out to Win, where he interviewed athletes who are LGBT.
Bear Nation.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and he did Bear Nation. So apparently for about 4 years now, he's had this idea percolating about returning to the concept of a small town gay bar, but he wants to do kind of like a sister sequel compendium kind of adjacent film. So it's not a follow-up to Small Town Gay Bar in a way, but it's more about the concept of going back to that in this new documentary Kickstarter called Southern Pride, in which he's found one bar in particular in Biloxi, Mississippi, that's owned by a lesbian couple, and they've been in touch over the years, he and Lynn, one of the co-owners, and they've talked a lot. And now with the political climate, he really feels more than ever that this topic needs to be discussed, about how the Just Us Lounge in Biloxi, which is a bar that's open 24/7, I found that very interesting, is getting not just LGBT people to come to the bar, but interestingly, Lynn talks about that minorities are feeling uncomfortable with the climate of the community and are coming to the bar because it's kind of like a safe house in a way, for people to feel comfortable. So the campaign ends tomorrow night. They're over halfway through fundraising. The plan was to shoot from January this year through till the beginning of June, Pride Month, and then produce the film. There's lots of different packages to choose from. If you're familiar with donation programs, you can get T-shirts or design DVDs, that kind of stuff. Malcolm's kind of come upon the fact of being a documentary filmmaker kind of in an odd way, that he kind of like Kevin Smith was like, oh, I want to do something, and then it does a thing and then realizes, oh, this is my life's passion. So he's done some interesting stuff, and so I've been a supporter following with him on Facebook and that. So I highly suggest people check it out. I've invited some people on Facebook already to like at least the Facebook movie page for the documentary. But if you can kick in a couple bucks, whether you actually could do a package that you get something back or just some dollars or whatever, I'm hoping. Usually donation campaigns get a lot of money in the last 48 hours, which kind of seems to be the case. So I hope the momentum comes through. It is Kickstarter though, so it's not GoFundMe or the other programs where you get whatever you get. This one is all or nothing. So if they don't hit the goal by the deadline, they get nothing, which would really suck. So I've been kind of like, sounding the alarm, so to speak, or trying to post it forward. They posted the Kickstarter campaign in December, so it's really only been maybe a month, which isn't a very long time to try to drive up. They're not asking for a ton of money. I think last I saw it was like less than 40,000 in terms of the financing that they were looking for.
$7,765. That's
so
the goal.
Yeah, and they're, as of when we're recording this, they're at 19. I don't know what the hell. What are you doing? The number's jumping, which is kind of weird but exciting. Yeah, so it's 19.5. We'll say that to be safe.
It just said 19,655, so there we go.
Yeah. So it's moving around a little bit. Also, interestingly, your pledges are going to be in Canadian dollars, and the website is telling you what it will be in US. So actually, your money means more in Canadian than it does in the US. So, for example, let me jump right down here real quick. If you give like $200, it's about 150 in US. So you're kind of getting more bang for your buck as far as the donation amount. So I'm hoping that this goes forward and we can talk more about it. And who knows, maybe we can have Malcolm and Lynn on or something, talk about it later.
Nice. You got some votes. That's the end. Oh. Anyways, contact this. Pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. View the video version if you're listening to the audio on Cubs Out Loud or youtube.com/cubsoutloud. You can email us at comesoutloud@gmail.com. Shoot us a voicemail at 361-COL-POC. That's 361-265-8255. We'd love to hear your voice. Follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, at Comes Out Loud in the appropriate part of the URL on that. Please join us over on the official Bear website of Comes Out Loud. That's right, Gary. It is the official Bear website, not the unofficial that you said in NAB. Sorry, I was just listening to that episode.
I will own, for the record, if you haven't heard any episode where I screw up the ending of the show at one point, or maybe more than once, now I don't remember, I accidentally said unofficial, and it's the official. So my apologies to Ian, the webmaster.
Nice.
Join us in the Cubs Out Loud Entourage group there. Please pop over to iTunes, rate us. The more you rate us, the more people see us, the more people can join in the fun. And also subscribe to us through Google Play Podcast. If you listen to us on Stitcher Radio, give us a thumbs up there. You can find me anywhere on the internet. It says box up, box button, box top, box, something or other.
I am TheaterCub79 on Bear Underground, Tumblr, HeftyNet, Growler, Facebook, and you can find me as Pup Umbra or Pup_Umbra on Twitter. Yes, Pup_Umbra.
You can find me pretty much anywhere on the interwebs as Gabber73. And again, I'll say it because I haven't said it in a couple episodes. If you want to reach out and friend me or get in touch with me, please let me know that it happens to be because of the podcast. Otherwise, you're kind of coming across as like this weird stranger stalker Spidey kind of thing. So, you know.
I just say that Gary's paranoid.
Well, you guys know my rule, and I'll say this for the record, if I haven't said it in a while, on Facebook, I don't friend people unless I actually know them. So Facebook's got this weird logarithmic thing of burping recently, and lots of people are like, why do I have 100 requests out of nowhere? I haven't had that, but I've had a lot of people, and I'm like, no offense, yeah, we've got some people in common, but I don't know you. So
I don't know you.
Well,
that's not part.
I did to help with the issue. I turned on the follow feature. I haven't had it on for years, but I did turn it on, which basically means things that go public they can see, which is very rare for me. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
And Hadrian, where can they find you? You are on mute.
You can find me at thehadrianshow.com, which is a G-rated website where on Tumblr you can follow me and follow my political leanings and other good stuff. And there is no nudity there, but there is a website. There is a page for that you'll find on your own. But thehadrianshow.com is where you can find me.
Oh, nice. It has been changed and updated. Sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, for those that were following Hadrian,
it was trying to give a little separation between stuff I don't mind my boyfriend's mother seeing and stuff that I do mind her seeing.
Yeah, so
it was a mess.
Yeah, Hadrian split out his very private stuff for his non-private stuff. So luckily I caught that on Tumblr, so I was like follow and so.
Stalking. It's not
stalking. Hadrian knows about it. There's a difference.
I suppose. But that's it, everybody. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.